Life shouldn't be hard. Life should be a fun-filled adventure every day. So now start joining up dots. Tap into your talents, your skills, your God-given gifts, and tell your boss, you don't deserve me. I'm out of here. It's time for you to smash that alarm clock and start getting the dream business and life you, well, of course, are dreaming of. Let's join your host, David Ralph, from the back of his garden in the UK, or wherever he might be today, with another jammed-packed episode of the #1 hit podcast, Join Up Dots.
Yeah, good morning to you, and welcome to the Join Up Dots podcast. This is going to be a personal one. This is based on me, the host of the Join Up Dots podcast. I had an email the other day, and it was a very simple email. It's just one line, and it's from a lady called Jenny Baxter. And she said, David, how do you know what to pursue in your life and what to leave? And it's a really good question, because we are a show that's all about creating the life you want, one smart dot or decision at a time. But how do you know that it's the right dot? How do you know what's going to lead to where you want to get? Now, I want to share the mindset and strategy that literally changed my life when I thought about it. And once it came to me, I realized that this was my guiding star. This was my North Star. This was the thing that I really needed to focus in on. And it might seem really, really simple, but I realized back in the day, probably I've been doing this about 20 years now, and I would say it was probably about 7 years in, about 13 years ago, I realized that the biggest success I could ever achieve was controlling 100% of my time. It might seem simple. It might seem like you all go, what? What? You built everything you do round just not having an alarm clock. And that's exactly. And so I'm going to tell you why it was the best decision I ever made, and why anybody out there that is starting a business or starting to transition to where they want to be, you've got to have something to focus on. You've got to realize that's what you want. Now, when I first started in the online world, I didn't really know what I was aiming for. I certainly was aiming for, 8 figures and ego-based stuff. And that's where I headed. And everything was about getting more and more money. And ultimately, it left me burnt out and frazzled and God knows what. And you've heard the story if you've listened to the show. And so I knew that I had to transition, but I didn't know what I needed to do. And then one day I realized that I was turning down stuff that I would have said yes to before. And it wasn't something I was losing out on. It was something that I was gaining from. I might have been losing out on some income, but I was actually gaining on the freedom of just being quiet and relaxed and energized and waiting for the next big thing to come to me. And then once that comes along, you're all in onto it and you make more money anyway. At the beginning, when you start a business, you are sort of basically dealing, I think everyone does this, they just have crap customers, and you are selling your soul to the devil. You got to get it going, and you kind of think that by grinding and hustling and accepting any bit of work that comes to you, you're going to do really, really well. But it doesn't work that way. So what I want you to do, I want you to decide on what success is for you. Now, I decided that I wanted to wake up when I wanted, work on what I chose, and live life on my own terms. It's not flashy, it's not sexy, but it's something for me to decide on. And once I got that, every decision from that point on had to answer that one question. Will this give me more freedom in my life, or will it take it away from me? Will I be enjoying myself, or will I have just painted myself into a room and I can't get out? And it's very, very easy to do in a business sense. So how do you go from that big dream And you might not even think it's a big dream of I want total freedom to actually living it. Because you don't just wake up and go, right, no more schedules. It just doesn't work like that. You've got to kind of reverse engineer it. You've got to take the big picture and break it down into tiny bite-sized steps. And so this is how I did it, and hopefully this will be useful out there. I realized I was going to say no to trading time for money. So if somebody wanted to pay me for something, could be coaching or podcasting and stuff, it had to be done on automatic pilot. It had to be an online passive income. It meant no more sort of freelance gigs that needed me to be there at a certain time, online at 9 o'clock sharp and be there till 2 o'clock in the morning. None of that could occur anymore. I had to learn the skills to mean that money comes to me without me being there. That's the first thing. And of course, then you think, well, how the hell do I do this? So you have to learn automation. Anything I do in my business, I decide, can I let it run on its own? And if I can't, I find a way to make it operate that way. And sometimes it just means not doing it. And automation is absolutely key. So that's the second thing. And then I created assets. Podcasts, courses, books, digital products, all the things that just means that money could come to me while I was on vacation or while I was sleeping or whatever. Now, they might be the three kind of things that you think, well, I've heard this on other podcasts as well. But the other thing that I've done is I kept it lean. I really kept it lean. There's no big team. There's no complicated infrastructure. The whole of Join Up Dots is me and a guy called James who checks through the emails every 2 days and sends me stuff that he thinks I need to do. That's it. All the podcasts, there's no production team, there's nothing. It's all just me and James every 2 days for about a couple of hours. So with that, it meant that I had to earn less money because the profits were coming to me quicker. And it's the same with my offline businesses as well. I look at it and I think, can I operate this with lean staff levels? And generally all of them operate with one member of staff, and it's just how it is. And by making those decisions once again of how you can do this, it keeps down your overheads and your expenses. Now, those 4 steps: no to trading time for money, learning automation, creating assets, and keeping things lean, don't look like much individually, but stacked together, if you bring them in together, game changer. Okay, absolute game changer. And you've really got to start thinking that way, because otherwise most people go from being an business person to an entrepreneur doing exactly the same thing, sitting at an office all day or sitting behind a laptop all day. And generally an office is better because you see people. So you really got to think about how to do that. Now, of course, what did I say no to? This is the interesting part, because what didn't I do? And there was opportunities. I still have opportunities. I still have offers to do consulting. People still message me asking me to speak and coach and show up. And sure, it was all flattering. It really was flattering. But if it's on their time, if it nails me to 2:00, I'm not doing it. End of that. And I missed out on some money, of course I did, but it meant I stayed true to my vision, 100%. Clarity and knowing what you're heading for makes decisions easy. And once you know what you're chasing, you stop getting distracted by shiny objects. It really is the key thing to everything. You've got to know what you want in life so that when the opportunities come your way, you can just push them by the side. And so now I've just come back from Slovenia for 3 weeks. I'm just going off to Germany for a while. I'm going to see Katy Perry in Poland. And all these things, I don't just, I don't have to schedule in. I just look at it and go, I can do that. And when you can do it on your own time again, things like hotels, flights. You just look at a flight and go, oh, we'll go there. That's a cheaper flight. It makes your overheads less, which means you have to work less. Okay. It really is a key thing. Once you can control your time, you can control everything. It controls your money, controls your energy. It's true freedom. And that was my dream. And that's how I got there, just one dot at a time. So let me ask you, listeners out there, what's your one thing? Now, I know what society will probably say, and I know what Instagram is showing you, but what do you really want? What do you want in your life more than anything else? Take away money, okay, and flash ego-based stuff and stuff. What do you actually want? And it could be time freedom, like me. It could be creative freedom. It could be financial independence. You might want to travel. You might want to keep life really, really simple. Whatever it is, start at the end and work backwards. Break it down into tiny steps and just take the first one today. So it might be as small as watching a YouTube video, starting a free trial. It could be blocking off 30 minutes for yourself. It could be just thinking about what do I really want in life, and do that, and then pause and then think to yourself, okay, what's the next thing as well? And if you know what your one thing is, then drop me a line, message me, email me, joinupdots@gmail.com, and tell me your first step. What are you aiming for, and what's going to be your first step backwards? And I would love to hear it. And I promise I'll give you a shout out in the next episode, because at the end of the day, this isn't about building someone else's version of success. This is about joining up your own dots and designing your life, the life that you want, one smart dot at a time. And once you get that, you'll never look back. It's the key to life, knowing what personally works for you and how you want your life to be, and reverse engineering it. Let us know how you got on. Drop us a line, joinupdots@gmail.com, or come across and leave a voice message. Love to have some more voice messages so we can have some of you shared on the podcast. And we'll be back with a future episode when you guys have told us, and we will share it with the world. You'll inspire them, and they, of course, will inspire you to do more of it. That's how it works. See you again. Cheers. See ya. Bye-bye.
That's the end of Join Up Dots. You've heard the conversation. Now it's time for you to start taking massive action. Create your future, create your life. It's the only life you've got. We'll be back again real soon. Join Up Dots, Join Up Dots, Join Up Dots, Join Up Dots. Join up, Dots.